Good evening, everybody, and thanks for joining me at the table. No, this is not Ian Thornton. He is going to be here tonight, but we had special guests come in. You might recognize these guys if you're from Blair. This is Ricky Parker and Brian Wayne. Ricky and Brian. And they have this new fantastic thing that they're doing where they sit in the park from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Is that correct? Correct. Every day? Every Thursday. Every Thursday from 6 to 9 in the park across the street from Blair First United Methodist Church. And they just gather around and meet people, and they do have a live show. And on Wednesdays, you're somewhere else, right?
Wednesdays we're on the go.
It's a mystery day.
Okay. Well, I'm going to let Ricky and Brian just tell a little bit about what they do. So sit back and enjoy.
Well, we started this thing on Thursday. It's basically for people like people's got a lot of things going on in their lives. It's a chance to take a break and come down and sit in the park and just talk about pretty much nothing.
Yeah, anything you want to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have bad things happen in their lives and they're lonely or, going through a lot of stuff. And we figured, with 3 hours of our life, you come down and hang out and get to meet new people. And
just come down and talk whatever you feel, whatever's on your mind. It could be sports. It could be what's going on out in the world. It can be, some community-wise. Anything, honestly.
It actually kind of reminds me of, I don't know if, I'm a big fan of Andy Griffith.
Okay.
If there's an episode of Andy Griffith where the preacher comes into town, guest preacher, and he's getting everybody, he tells people at the sermon that, take a day off and enjoy life and stuff like that. And they're hurrying around trying to do a band concert.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, they decide to give up and they're just sitting on the porch. And the preacher comes back and he says, I'm glad you got something out of my sermon. This is what I wanted, to let you guys know, to sit around and enjoy life with one another. And
that's great.
It's one of my favorite episodes, and it's kind of like what we're trying to do. We're just trying to, tell people that, it's okay. You come down, and if you have a bad week or a bad day, and just come down and hang out,
you know?
Well, I got to tell you, I got invited to this group that they started on Facebook by somebody from a member of the Blair First United Methodist Church, and I thought, I'm going to check this out. And I watched these guys a couple of times, and I just love what they're doing. It's just amazing. And then actually saw somebody that I know that came by one night. I guess she's your cousin, Lynn Clark.
Oh yeah, Lynn.
Yeah. So I saw a picture of her, and I thought, this is pretty neat. And I looked into it a little more and found out what these guys were doing. And I just wanted to bring them on this show, show them what I'm doing, since they're having their thing on Wednesday night, and I have this on Wednesday night. So if you're available on Thursdays from 6 to 9,
that's correct. 6 to 9.
Stop by the park and see what Ricky and Brian have in store for you. And bring your own lawn chair,
Bring
right?
your own lawn
Correct.
chair.
Please bring a chair.
You can bring your own beverages, but we prefer no alcohol.
Yeah,
yes,
okay.
No alcohol.
Okay.
It's definitely just a family thing. Kids are welcome to come down as well. It's a public park, so you can do whatever you want, hang out, talk, and
our goal is to get 100 people by the end of summer.
By the end of summer, that is what we want to do.
We'd like to see 100 people in the park.
Something small. It's small, but it could be realistic. So,
okay, so for anybody that's watching, what's your Facebook group name?
The Park Sitting with Ricky, Brian, and the Gang.
Park Sitting with Ricky, Brian, and the Gang. And you can find that on Facebook. And can anybody join?
Yes,
anybody.
It's a public group.
Okay.
You don't even have to live in Bel Air, although we promote a lot of things in Bel Air.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Anybody can approve anybody in the group, to be honest. It's that public. Because it's a public park, and anybody can...
We want everybody to feel welcome.
Right.
And then on Wednesdays are mystery day. We find somewhere in the village.
Okay.
And we actually have sponsors who give prizes out, and we give hints. And if you find us,
you get whatever sponsor gave to us that day. And a lot of them are local businesses, small businesses. Yeah. I'm a big fan of small businesses, and this one today was Around the World Gourmet out in West Bel Air, Ohio. Perfect.
Okay. Who are your other sponsors?
Right now we have
Gula's downtown.
And Little G's just contacted us.
Little Gerardo's.
Well, we
call it Little G's.
Pizza place.
Yes, pizza place.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So
it's really neat. It's really coming together, and I feel glad about it.
Yeah, and we want to it's a stress-free day in the park. That's what we're trying to accomplish here.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, when I first heard about it, I thought this is a great idea. I really like the idea a lot, and that's why I wanted to bring you guys on and promote this and promote your sponsors. And if you do come out on Thursday night, they do sit. It's right across the street from Belair First United Methodist Church. I believe there's like a little statue or something there, and it's near the fountain, right? Is that
Correct.
I think it's World War II.
Yes.
The one with a certain street. Yeah,
Okay.
They had all the.
Yeah.
It's right by the fountain.
Right on-
right by
I think
the
we're off
fountain.
to the left of the fountain.
Yes.
Right on Guernsey Street.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
You can't miss us. We'll have the weird hats on.
Yes.
And if it's raining, will you be in the gazebo?
Yes, we will.
Okay.
Last Thursday was a little cold. We cut it short.
We cut a little early.
Oh, yeah, it was
due to
cold.
weather.
Yeah, it was. But if it does rain and it's not like a hurricane or anything, we'll be in the
Nothing
gazebo.
outrageous,
Yeah, we'll
nothing
be in the
crazy.
gazebo.
We'll still be there.
Yeah.
And if it like you said, if it does rain, we'll sit underneath the gazebo because I feel like the gazebo doesn't get
It
enough
doesn't.
attention
It's
either.
Yeah.
It's a really beautiful
So-
thing, and yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
get a lot of attention.
So yeah,
And bring the kids.
please, more
Okay.
welcome.
Nancy Merriman says hi to both of you.
We love her. Miss Merriman,
She
we
is
love her.
great.
Yeah.
She is great.
So, all right. Was there anything else you guys want to say?
I think that's it.
I think we're good.
Hey, thanks a lot for coming out.
I appreciate you having us.
Yes, thanks for joining me at the table.
And
No
we'll see
problem.
you at the park.
Okay.
We'll be there.
Thank you.
See ya.
Excuse us.
Yes. Okay, well, now we have Ian Thornton, who's going to be joining me at the table. Come on over, Ian.
Hey, Phil.
How are you doing tonight?
Good, you?
I'm doing real well. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, absolutely. Good to see you, man.
Good to see you, too. So, how's the summer shaping up for you so far?
Busy.
Busy? Yeah?
Yeah, it has been really busy. This week in particular, I'm kind of manning the 6 kids on my own. Julie is in Kansas with Gracie, so
Yeah.
it's eventful.
Yeah.
I feel like that deer in the headlight look like 24 hours a day. You know?
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah,
it's good.
yeah.
It is. It's really good. Things have slowed down after June 1st, you know.
Yeah.
But it is. I really feel like I'm in a season of planning.
Okay.
So it's fall of 2019 and 2020. It's something that I feel like the Lord is just
Okay.
really echoing in my mind and in my heart to start preparing for 2020.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah,
Right.
Mhm,
So-
it is. It's exciting.
Do you have any insight into what it is yet, or you just know something's coming?
No, I do have some insight into
Okay.
what it is. There is a couple series that I'm working on right now. So at church on Sundays, we're doing the names of God.
Mm-hmm.
This coming Sunday is Yahweh Nisi, the Lord is my banner.
Okay.
So we'll be working on that. And last week, being Father's Day, we did Abba.
Okay.
So we have a couple more weeks of that. It's probably going to go. That'll go through July.
Okay.
So I'm working on a couple other sermon series, and then there's some events that are going to be more along the lines of maybe like a one-day conference
Okay.
that's going to be in 2020. So we're looking at the spring of 2020 for that.
Okay.
And depending on how well that goes, we may go and do it again in the fall as well.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, it's exciting.
I told everybody last week on my show that I was going to make an announcement tonight.
Okay.
So if you mind me taking a second, because it
please.
kind of ties into what you're talking about.
Okay.
Many of you already know this, but in case you have not heard yet, I will be stepping down as pastor at Brooks Run United Methodist Church as of June 30th. And I will be coming back here to Belair First United Methodist Church to work with Ian. I won't be a pastor. Well, technically, I guess I'm always going to be a pastor.
Always.
But that's something that once you're called, you just always do it. But I won't be in an official capacity as a pastor, but I'll be helping out Ian, and I probably will be involved in that
Yes.
conference in 2020.
Yeah, I believe so.
So
Absolutely.
I will be spending a lot of time here at this church and working out of this church. So that's my big announcement, and that's one of the reasons I want to have Ian on tonight, was because it kind of ties in with everything that we're going to be doing. As you know, from the last time I had Ian on, we talked about how he and I met and how things just progressed, and we kind of had this role reversal where
Yeah.
I was the pastor here, and then now he's the pastor here. It started September, I believe it was, right?
It was September.
Yeah, September. Last Sunday of August last year was my last Sunday here. So we're coming up on a year
Yeah.
for that. And have another really big announcement that I think probably most everybody knows, in case you don't. Ian will be a licensed local pastor on July 1st.
Crazy.
So you think it's crazy now, you just wait. What that means is that he can do a lot more things that he can't do in his current capacity. But really the big thing about this is that that's when I cease to be a licensed local pastor and he becomes one. So the role reversal that we have witnessed this last year kind of comes to fruition on July 1st.
Yeah, wow.
And I never would have thought this time last year, I know we were kicking around the idea of you taking over a church, but to come to where we are, it's definitely a God thing. And
it really is. It's got his fingerprints all over it.
yeah. And we are blessed to.
Oh, we are.
And I know that you and I have talked, and we've been talking about even branching out some more, maybe possibly, but and not like a full branch out, but I mean we're still going to be focused in Bel Air. But we've talked about going to Ashtabula, Ohio, and talking to a friend of mine up there, and he might be watching tonight, so I want to let him know
Awesome.
that Dean, if you're watching, we're going to be coming up your way. I'll get in touch with you here soon, and we'll talk about it.
That's great.
But more than anything else, I want to take you to Covered Bridge Pizza because you're going to love Covered Bridge Pizza.
Absolutely.
I had to throw that one in there because my mom's watching tonight, and she used to work there. So
That's great.
yeah,
That's great.
so I'm sure she's probably going to be saying, "Oh yeah, bring them up. You guys can spend the night." And
It is. It is super exciting. I mean, just to watch how things are growing, and to use the word expanding, just it looks, and it really looks neat as God is actually just stretching things up and down this valley.
Yeah.
Just up and down the river on both sides. As far as on this end, it looks like we're going to be having an opportunity to go up to Wintersville.
okay,
So that'll be in the next couple weeks on a Wednesday night, and spend some time up there at Wintersville United Methodist. So they do a contemporary service on Wednesday night. So our family's going to go up there, and then just all of these different. It's almost like pinpoints. God's dropping us here. He's pulling us over there. Those type of things, and it's on both sides of the river.
Mm-hmm.
So it's neat to watch this whole thing as what God is doing and just placing all of His people. It's not just one given person. And in the day of the one man show, if I can say that, the day of the one man show is over.
Yeah.
It really is God and His grace really working with every part of the body, and letting His Spirit just flow. It ties so much into the Bible study that you're doing on Wednesday night. Just the gifts of the Spirit, and people here are recognizing what their gifts are.
Yeah.
And there's such a heightened interest in understanding what those gifts are. How do I use it? Where do I apply it? All of those fun things. It's almost like a kid at Christmas that gets their new toy, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So they're opening all of these things up, and they're going, "Wow, I can do this," or they realize, "Wow, that's me."
Yeah.
And that's a gift I have.
Yes.
And so then I get to use that and for God's glory and to watch what He wants to do through them with it. It's really awesome. Really awesome to watch.
And I can echo that feeling because I know when you first said something to me about doing the Gifts of the Spirit Bible study, and you asked me to teach it. I'm like, no, I don't know enough about it. But just researching on my own, and plus what God has given to me,
right?
And it has just been amazing to watch it unfold in my view too. Learning about my gifts, learning about gifts that I don't have. Like last night, I don't know if you got a chance to watch the video.
I watched some, yeah.
Okay, we talked about the gift of pastor. Did you see that part?
No.
Okay, you got to watch that part because I mentioned you a couple of times.
Oh, great.
But with the gift of pastor, it's people that have that gift aren't always necessarily pastors, and pastors don't always necessarily have that gift.
Wow.
But the gifts that pastors so often have kind of dictates what kind of preacher they are, what kind of pastor they are. And so I used you as an example with your gift of leadership, and I used my example with the gift of teaching, how we are different as pastors, but how, you can't be everything to every congregation.
Right.
And so I did it kind of help you out a little bit with the next SPRC meeting. No, I'm just kidding.
That's
but
great.
no, it was very informative to learn about the gift of pastor, and it's kind of sad to see this Bible study coming to an end. It ends next Tuesday is our last night.
Wow, okay.
But it has been wonderful. We will have done 9 total, and they're all recorded and on YouTube, on the Fulcrum Center YouTube page.
Great.
They are all 8 of them are up there right now. The 9th one when we record it next Tuesday. will also be put up there either Tuesday night or Wednesday morning. So be sure to check that out if you want to watch them. Also on the Fulcrum Center page, is a series that we did back in the fall that Ian taught with the fruit of the Spirit and weapons of warfare is what it was called.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. So if you want to see that one, it's also on the Fulcrum Center YouTube page. If you have trouble finding that, you can send either Ian or myself a message. We'll send you a link to it. But it should be pretty easy to find. It's got a lot of subscribers now, so it's gaining some traction. So it should be able to pop up in the search engines a lot more. So yeah, it's really exciting. So what's the next Bible study going to be?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
But you know what? That's a great question. There's a couple things that I have tossing around in my mind, but I would like to throw it out to everyone out there. If there's something that you're interested in studying, or you have questions about certain things, we can take this Bible study and really just use it as a forum to answer questions. It can be a season of just discussion and working on things like that, or if it's something specific, maybe it could be a book of the Bible. It could be something even more specific than that. Just answering some tough questions too. We can do that too.
I actually
love
did
to hear something.
Did have somebody come to me last night and throw out the Book of Acts as a possible book to study in the Bible. Yeah, I know.
It would be awesome.
Oh, it would be. It would be. It really would be, because
It really would be.
the Book of Acts. I mean, just imagine if you went from John to Romans and there was no Book of Acts.
Right.
Can you imagine how you would read the Bible? Because you read all about Jesus, and then you hear Paul, an apostle of Christ, called to the Gentile nation, and you're like, who's Paul?
Yeah.
You miss all that. You miss everything that happened with Peter. You miss a lot.
Yeah. Well,
So
it's a really neat transitional book, just like what you're talking about, Phil, because it can be directly applied to us. It's like, our call, like what we see the call of the disciples and all in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and then where the rubber meets the road in Romans.
Mm-hmm.
So that book of Acts really is transitional, even for our own personal callings, to go, okay, well, this is where I met Christ.
Mm-hmm.
And now how do I get that applied in my everyday life?
Okay,
and
yeah.
Acts really answers a lot of those questions.
Sounds like you want to teach it.
Maybe I'll teach the first half. And
You want to teach the second half. Okay, we'll work together on that. Yeah,
Sounds great.
It's a rather large book too, so it would take a little while to get through it all. But
It is, but it'd be a lot of fun.
it would be, yeah, and it's transitional, but it's also foundational too, I think.
Yeah.
So
I
that's
can
something
see
that we may take that suggestion, but if you have any other suggestions, please throw them out to us.
That'd be
We're
great.
open. We'd like to hear what you have to say. It doesn't have to be that, or maybe we can do that another time. We'll just see. We're going to do whatever God leads us to do.
Yeah.
Is definitely what we're going to do. But
Exactly. And if you would just even join us in a season of prayer as we're finding out exactly the direction God wants to take.
yeah.
It'd be great if you pray with us.
Yes, and I can tell you this: it won't be in the month of July. We're taking the month of July off for Bible study.
Yes.
We'll probably start sometime in August, I would
Yes,
think.
I would
Okay.
assume.
Yeah, sometime in August. But we'll definitely let you know. I'll let you know on this show. We'll let you know in church. We'll let you know on Facebook. We'll let you know. You'll definitely not be in the dark about this at all. Okay. So is there anything that you want to bring up tonight? Anything on your mind?
Yeah, there is,
Okay.
actually. And it's just the whole idea of revival.
Okay.
It's something that is stirring more and more in my heart personally.
Okay.
And I can just direct that just at myself. Just a personal revival.
Yeah.
But the more that God sends me different places and has engaged me in different areas here in the valley, I'm also seeing that there's a thirst there in a lot of people. I don't know that they would call it revival, because the normal understanding in our minds as Christians and as church folk, if I can use that term, is, well, there's a revival at such and such a church on such and such a night.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not what God's talking about.
No.
He's talking about this internal heart revival of truly being drawn to Him and seeking Him with everything we have, and then watching the sparks fly from there. And then those sparks connect with other sparks, and it becomes these embers that are glowing, and then the wind of the Holy Spirit moving fans all that into flames. So that's just something in my own heart and mind, and it's I'm feel it with my own life and within the life of my family, just becoming more and more passionate about that, and excited in the morning to see what does God want to do, how does he want to use me, how can I make myself available to him, that's not just within the structure of a Sunday morning church service or a Wednesday evening Bible study or things like that. It's outside of those things in life, and just allowing his light to shine through me even more so and brighter, daily.
Yeah.
Just day to day. So that's something that's really just been on my heart.
I really like the way you put it, because I could picture in my mind starting a fire and just watching that fire grow.
Yes.
And, it's the fire itself is just one little spark, but then it catches on to other things, other pieces of paper or grass or whatever, and it catches fire and it spreads, and just that one little spark just takes the fire everywhere. And that's what it is with real revival. It's like you said, it's not a service.
Yeah.
I mean, we call them revival services and we hope for revival.
Yes.
But revival doesn't usually happen at a revival service. I mean, it could for some people, but not like this kind of revival like you're talking about, because what it is a personal revival in one person that spreads to another person and spreads to another. And next thing you know, we have a revival going on in the valley.
Right. Exactly. And, I love how you're talking about, one spark, and it can connect to this or, this piece of paper or whatever it might be. And it's just like, I know that there are other people out there that God is doing the same thing in their hearts. So it's almost like I'm looking to be that next combustible piece.
Yeah.
To run into that next person. So, whether it's at the fish market down in downtown Wheeling, or, walking down the street here in Bel Air, or wherever, it doesn't matter, the mall at St. Clairsville. There is something that happens when you walk next to that person who is just as much on fire or passionately seeking the heart of God as you are, that there's just this instant connection and this encouragement that comes to both parties, and that just fans into flame. And you go home and you're like, wow, man, there are others out there that are really seeking the Lord too, and this is happening. And so I think it's neat to understand that it's well happening in our area.
Yes, it is.
Without question. There's so many people that we could sit and talk all night about how we ran into them, or God orchestrated these our paths to cross, those type of things. But then, here we are talking about Astor Beulah.
Yeah.
And going, huh.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's that about?
Yeah.
And how fun would it be to be a part of what God's doing there in that direction? And it is there again. It's reminiscent of the Book of Acts.
Yes.
Going from place to place to place to place, and just going wherever God sends. And it's not about asking questions, and it's not about having everything planned out and mapped out. So much of it is really just about the pursuit of Him in humility and in faith.
Yes.
And in those two things, the amazing happen.
And, I've noticed I've been, this June 30th, on my last day, will mark 20 years of being a pastor. Now, there was a couple of years where I took off where I wasn't officially a pastor, but, I was preaching other places as kind of like as a lay speaker. But so I always say 20 years. But in that time, I've seen so many people that just want to know God more, but they just don't know how. And they so want it, and they're afraid to ask.
Yeah.
They're afraid, afraid of doing something wrong, afraid of failing, afraid of being wrong about approaching God, because we see God as He's up there, we're here. And I've really been trying to get people to know He's here. He's not up there. Yeah. Yes, He's up there, but He's right here, right now. And He's in your heart. If you believe in Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, He's in your heart. And that song, what a friend we have in Jesus. That's what I want for everyone, to know Jesus as a friend. It's someone that, like, I'm talking to you.
Yeah.
You can talk to the Lord that way.
Yeah.
And that, in some way, may be what they need to get that revival started in their hearts. So they can be the next spark. So they can spark it off on somebody else in their family, or a friend, or somebody they work with. So certainly it has already happened to many people, but I see it happening a lot more.
Yeah, so do I. And, Facebook's a great example of this.
Yes.
You find one friend that's connected to this friend, and all of a sudden then that friend goes to this friend, and this friend picks up that friend. And it really is, it is just like that. These revival, as God moves and all, it's so relational.
Yeah.
First it's relational this way.
Yes.
It's relationship with the Lord, and then He takes that and just carries it horizontally, and it becomes, honestly, it becomes infectious.
Yeah.
So when I get around someone who is on fire, the term we would use for the Lord, there is such a draw to be around that person and to glean off of what they are experiencing with the Lord, but in a way that I can experience that too. It's not just me hanging out with you. I want to hang out with the one who you find so much joy in.
Yeah.
So, I want to get to know the God in Jesus Christ that lives in you. And so it's that opportunity for us to come together and introduce Jesus to them in ways that they may not know Him, getting back to your point of people knowing Him as a friend.
And, one of the things I love to hear, and I guess it comes from the gift of teaching, is I never thought of it that way. I like the way you explain it, because then I know they're getting it.
Yeah.
When people give you that response, it just, yes, thank you, Lord. I know you're getting through to them.
Yeah.
And that's just a wonderful feeling. And then, now they can take that and give it to somebody else.
Absolutely.
That little tidbit that they learned, little gold nuggets that we find in the midst of all the dirt that we have in our lives.
What a treasure, huh?
Yeah. So it really is. And I'm just so thankful to be a part of it with this church and with you and with all of you watching. I mean, this whole program is all, as I spoke about last week, how God made it all happen. And I know that many people are enjoying it, and I'm hoping that they're getting so much out of it. And I don't even know where it's going to go.
Which is exciting.
It is. It's very exciting.
That's the fun part about it. And who would have ever thought that you would be doing this? And then who would have ever thought it would be this far along? And I mean, it just keeps growing and moving forward. But it's God lighting the way. You're following His path, and that's the neat thing for a lot of people to watch. Yeah. Because God's hand is on it.
Absolutely.
It's really, really neat.
Absolutely, and we can see, as you said earlier, His fingerprints are all through it.
Yeah.
So let me check Facebook, see if we have any questions from anybody. Oh, Brian Rain says, thank you for having us. Look forward to seeing you again. And Kathy says, a study on Acts would be awesome. Then again, any study will be awesome. Okay, well, we will definitely take that into consideration, Kathy. And, we'll see.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Pray about it, see where the Lord wants to take us. All right, we are running out of time here. So if there's anything else you want to add in tonight? Or
No, not at all. Just, just be praying for me, for us, as we are understanding what God wants to do with our Bible studies and what He wants to teach and what He wants to share, not just with you, but with us. I mean, it's just as important for us to be continually in the Word. And oh my gosh, how much have we learned? And when you teach something, you learn so much more.
Yeah.
But we just really appreciate the prayers.
Yeah, and I know from experience what this man's going through as a pastor, so definitely pray for him and lift him up, because it's not easy. It's very joyful. It's very fulfilling.
Yes.
And I'm sure you certainly know that by now. But it can be burdensome at times, and it can really kind of pull you down a little bit. So I really appreciate what you're doing. I respect what you're doing, and I know how you feel.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah,
I really do.
And I know you're going to do a great job here, and especially when you become licensed in a couple of weeks and things really take off then.
Yeah.
You'll be having people come to you to be married, and baptisms, and of course communion.
Yeah.
You get to do all that stuff.
I know,
now.
it's exciting.
Yeah, so.
It's exciting.
Okay, Ian, thanks a lot for joining
Phil.
me tonight.
Absolutely.
And,
I love it.
No, we'll have you back on here again sometime. And,
Sounds good.
And if there's anybody out there who's watching that would like to sit here with me at the table and talk, give your testimony, just talk about anything, as you can see from Ricky and Brian, you can come out and be a part of it as well. Also, last week I did mention that we were going to have a kids table, and I had to move the date back to July 17th. I said July 10th last week, but it's going to be July 17th at 7 p.m., and it's going to be for kids 12 and under, and we'll see how that goes. And if I survive, then we will have a teen table. Yeah, he says that because he's probably going to send a whole crew of 12 and unders to me.
Absolutely.
And I've already had people telling me they're having their kids write down questions for me. What am I getting into?
Good.
Okay, well, that's all the time we have for tonight. Thank you all for joining Ian and myself and Ricky and Brian. Thanks for joining us at the table. Be sure to check out Ricky and Brian in the park some night if you can. And we'll see you next week as we get together at the table.